Well, hopefully the third time's going to be the charm. We'll find out here in a
I am
second.
not paying attention. I'm trying to get the chat up so we can talk to you people.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If there's any people to talk to.
There should be, because I can
Let's
feel
see.
people connecting.
That was 11 minutes ago. Yeah.
It's yeah.
We have to go into chat, I believe, to answer questions, but I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to find out.
Yeah. So
We're going to find out. There's not anybody here yet,
yet.
but we'll get them here.
Yes. Haha. This is Cece. Hi. So yes, we can see
We're
your
getting it together.
messages. Hello.
We're
Hi,
getting it
Lou.
together. We're getting it
So
together.
we are seeing your messages now. Not sure what was
There
happening
you
before,
are.
but we're all here, and so happy to catch you guys all real time. Hello, Catherine.
Let me go
Hello,
in and
Amber.
share this.
Yay! Yes.
Let me
Oh,
go
we
in.
love you too. Good morning, Clinton. How are you?
Morning.
We're
It's
definitely.
afternoon. It's way afternoon.
True. True. Yeah. Well,
But it
it's
could be
morning
morning
breeze.
for him, yes.
Hello, Mama T.
Could be morning for him.
So we're excited to be here live. We can catch you guys live. We haven't done this in a minute.
We have not.
So we are so excited that we are doing this right now.
I'm sharing this a couple times, then I'll be able to see your.
Okay. Take 3. Yeah, I know.
It was.
It's that's true. Meta is changing all the way. Comments are seen.
Yes,
True.
we got twin. Okay, I'm going in the group to
Post it in the
to
group.
post
Awesome.
this.
So we just got done shooting a couple videos. One about surrender, the other about need. And it was really spectacular. So we've answered some questions that had been asked, and we shot a video that had been asked. And yes, we probably have about 30 other videos we still have to shoot.
We got a lot of questions to answer, so we thought, yeah, maybe we can even them out here a little bit.
Just a little. Just a little. Do you guys like the background? Isn't that cool? Yeah, so Sherry made those for me because what I did was a mess. I was stealing pictures from all throughout
He
the house.
went downstairs.
Sherry, you look radiant.
Took. Thank you.
Love the hair, Sherry.
He took pictures, the wedding picture, pictures off the wall in the living room, and brought them upstairs. Who does that?
This guy.
I mean, I wasn't gonna shoot him, but I was thinking about stabbing him.
Yeah. Can we touch on being vulnerable, yet having boundaries? There is no such thing as boundaries when it comes to your vulnerability. Because if you really think about what you're doing when you have boundaries and vulnerability, how can you have connection? You're going to have a wall up. If you have a wall up, how are you connected to you? So I guess maybe the question is, what do you think you need boundaries for when it comes to being vulnerable? Oh, thanks. You like my hair too? Oh, you're
He
talking
works
about,
hard on it.
You're talking about this.
Excuse you.
Yeah, it's kind of relationship with mom.
Excuse you. What? Excuse you.
Hi,
We're
Jim.
doing something here.
I might. Okay, yes, you guys can all go. So if you're talking about like a relationship with a parent, what boundaries do you have? Okay, maybe the question is this. Can you be vulnerable with your parents? Is probably the better question. And how do you approach them in your vulnerability to get them to be vulnerable? If you're not even in that space, then this isn't about boundaries at all. This is about some past hurt that you're not healing between them. You need for time for me when she needs me. Okay, so I'll get to that one. How can I improve communication skills with my twin? Okay, we're gonna come to that, back to that, Lou. Let's get to this, the vulnerability part of this, the question. Is it possible, if I come to you and I'm vulnerable, doesn't that open you up to be vulnerable?
For sure.
Okay. If you're not approaching it from that angle, what ends up happening is you're probably going to see, you're going to get the rejection you're seeking. You're going to get the disconnect that you're seeking. If your mother is not used to you meeting your own needs, so she's going to be, she's going to keep showing up saying she needs you. When have you ever let your mother know what you needed? If you've never done that, then that's what you can change when it comes to being connected to her. Because it's really hard for us as children to go to our parents and tell them we need them. We have found that to be a very natural wound and actually a very common wound of not knowing that your needs can be met. Your parents don't know you have needs because where did you learn to express them?
Right. Very true.
Just say it. And that also could show up like in your connection. And we were just discussing that, so you'll see the video for that here soon. And it's great to see you too. I saw somebody say hi.
I got the check here and I just laid it down.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. So when it comes to being vulnerable, you don't need boundaries. If you believe that you can have boundaries and vulnerability, that's not vulnerability. So hopefully that's something you can really look into.
Okay. And
Oh,
we're
we're so happy
Lou.
you're happy we're here.
yeah, Lou's question is how can I improve communication skills with my twin?
This is very difficult to navigate. I guess the question then we would have to ask you the question: where did you learn to communicate to people you're connected to? Because you do have a starting point for that. Yes, and don't forget the thumbs up if you guys get anything from this.
And don't forget the vulnerability you need
Yes, yes.
to actually have those open communications about everything, even the hard stuff, and learning to react and act
Mm.
and in a different way when it comes to communication and things you may not want to hear. Right?
Mm. When you don't want to hear something, you're usually setting a trap to hear it.
Right. Right.
Does that? I hope that makes sense. So, in that communication that you want to open up, you need to, first of all, set the stage for it. At least say, I want to communicate some things to you, but I was never taught this, so I'm going to be learning this with you. Would be a good place to start. That way, there's nothing that could be taken out of context or taken the wrong way. Because if you don't set the platform with the truth, you're going to set it up that everything that you're going to say could be interpreted incorrectly.
It tells me there are things I may not want to hear about my. Let me find that question. Or it's still Lou. He tells me there are things I may not want to hear about his past.
Oh, so he feels open to you in connection and you're trying to find a way to close it. What is it that you're having a problem about when it comes to past? If you are hurt by their past, it's because you have past hurts that you haven't healed yet. The past is not a physical aspect or a physical space that we can all be in. So if you're not going to be present for the information that's coming to you, because she shares her past with me all the time, and I used to be triggered because I would think that it has something to do with the present, and it does, but it doesn't relate to the present in the way that I was interpreting it. But I also noticed that I had stuff in my past that I hadn't resolved to be able to understand why. So it's almost like you can't really go into the space. Oh, you have no issue with the past. He doesn't want to share. Perfect.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to share his past because he's being present with you. So how are you accepting that? Because the things that he might have been in his, like I can barely remember a lot of my past, and I do that to her.
I think it's imperative that he knows that you are in a space where you can accept no matter what it is he has to say to you. A lot of times when we experience tragic, toxic things that happened in our past, whether we created them or they were created by somebody else, right? A lot of times we create those things, and it's either embarrassing or it's painful, right, to bring up to somebody, because number one, you fear their reaction, right? Is he going to leave me because of this? Is this something he can't handle? I feel like you may need to be a little bit more open to letting him know that, hey, no matter what it is, I'm connected to you, and it's not going to change the connection, and it's not going to change my thought process when it comes to you, and it may even allow me to understand you more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's interesting what we've translated based on the past. When it comes to the past, none of that clearly defines who you are in this moment. But if you're letting it, then how can you be present for your feelings? How can you be present in your way of being? Notice I'm not touching anything about the way you think, because thinking always wants to gravitate to things in the past. If you're seeking, or if you're experiencing that they don't want to open up about things that were, it has a lot to do with, like for me, for example, when it comes to talking about the past, when she's like, you never really share much about your past, and I go, well, since this connection, I don't recall a lot of it, because I realized that what I was holding on to was more of a disconnect pattern. So in this connection, if I'm connected, if I go and start thinking about the past, I notice that I have almost a form of disconnect that happens to me. And I'm not even sure why that is. But it could also be based in, like I said, I was disconnected from myself then, and I didn't ever see or experience connection. And even if I did, I was so disconnected, I didn't know how to trust it. So a lot of the things that I would think come from my disconnect based on past, but if I'm present, I can't experience that because I'm connected. So hopefully that makes some form of sense. But I would tell you that I believe this probably is something I inherited, of not talking about that, because you grow up with parents who don't talk about the past, or they tell you not to hold on to things. You kind of get that embedded in you, so you're already used to somebody you're connected to telling you not to dwell in the past. There could be a lot of different scenarios as to why he's not opening up about the past. But know that, don't keep a closed mind that he's just not sharing with you, because I believe he's sharing with you more presently than he's ever shared with anybody. And if that space isn't more important to you, try to make it start being more important to you, because it'll open up those doors at some point. But maybe he's trying to figure out what connection is to him based on what he's probably been through.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, I hope so.
My family hates my twin flame.
Of course.
It's typical, and it's very common. And I personally believe it's because your focus changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you and I started coming together, right? There was talk of obsession. There was talk of, you only want to be present when Lee's around, or you're only happy, you're smiling when Lee's around, or, you only like this because Lee likes it. You only like that because Lee likes it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel personally, in my experience, that some people don't like to see you succeed or even be happy,
Yep.
right? And I believe that's common even in families. And it's a shame, right? But there are people who see us, who don't even know us, and come up and talk to us because our energy is very strong and present, right? Wherever we are. A lot of people, it makes them uncomfortable. The energy, the connection energy makes them uncomfortable. It makes them double think what they're doing.
Yep.
What kind of situation they're in, right? Why can't I have that, right? It's unfortunate, but that's a human being mindset, right? And You see the memes all the time about jealousy and things like that, and I don't know if it goes that deep. But it does. It does.
Yeah.
Um, you know, um, some people don't believe you deserve to be happy, or you deserve to be so much in love, right? Or that you don't deserve that kind of connection with somebody. And it would make people resent the other person that's come into your life, that's making you vibrant.
Or they see a love coming from you that, and they're connected like family.
Yeah.
Family will see a love coming from you that you never let them be a part of in you.
Right.
So that could be them justifying why they don't like this person, because they're seeing a side of you that you've hidden because you were disconnected from yourself.
Right.
Now they're experiencing you being connected to. It changes how they view you.
Correct.
And that view may be, you're not being yourself, but you're more yourself when you're being connected to than you'll ever be in the other space. And it's definitely a definite change and a definite shift and a definite disconnect when you have people you're connected to telling you they don't like the person you're connected to. But we've seen families that have done that, and then it shows up in this connection in the worst way.
It happened in our situation, right? With my side, not with his. They were all happy to see him settle down and stop acting a fool. But it's the truth. And it recently happened again when I got very sick. He's controlling you. He's controlling every aspect of your life. Look, I needed somebody to. I mean, I wasn't in my right mind. I was very sick, and I was dying. I needed him to bring me my medicine. I needed him to have me on a timer with my medicine. I needed him to make sure that I wasn't dialing 911 every 10 minutes. I needed him to make sure that I wasn't walking out of the house and getting lost, or walking down the street falling into a lake. I mean, I needed him to do that, and I needed him to control the finances, everything, the laundry, like everything. I needed that at that point in time. And when family sees that kind of thing, then I got a lot of, he's controlling you, he's controlling every aspect of your life. And believe me, if you know me, you've seen me on video all these years, you know that Sherry is never going to be controlled, especially by Lee. Right? But I needed him to do that at that time, and I wasn't fighting that. And maybe I did a few times. You know what I mean?
It would be like you fighting yourself, because I'm
Right.
connected to you, which
Right.
means even your connection to yourself is going to come through me. Even if you were in a space where you were sick, there were parts of me that were coming through that were a part of you
Right.
to begin with.
Yeah.
That's connection.
Here it is. They don't have to marry your twin. They don't have to spend time with your twin.
Nope.
They don't have to be in the same place at the same time with your twin. They don't have to live your everyday life with your twin. They don't have to be there. They don't have to do that. They don't have to like him. You're connected.
And you get to choose your connection to yourself. If you're telling yourself, I can't be connected to myself without my family, then there's a part of your family that needs to understand that about your connection that you have. Because what that basically sounds like is you can't have connection here, but you can have connection there. That makes no sense. That's like trying to split you in two. And we've seen that. We've seen people who come into this connection and their parents split, right? And they have to take a side. They have to choose whether they're going to be on their mom's side, or they're going to choose to be on their father's side, or whatever the dynamic is. When you have to choose in connection, you usually will have a person that's telling you things about the other person that you didn't like, and this is going to be a validating experience in connection to prove your disconnect more than your connection. So what you'll end up finding is, when you have family that's against this connection, you probably have family that's against parts of the family already. So this is just the way that connection is going to show up.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, hope so.
I don't know that I can say it gets any easier. There's some acceptance with some people. The fact is Lee's not going anywhere, so they're going to have to handle it in their own way. Moving on to Amber's question. I've just been really re-listening to your story. I'm sorry. So sorry that you're torturing yourself on a Wednesday. Then you go live. Here we are. Twin and I got into an argument last night. My heart is calling out today to surrender and connect. Yeah, I don't know much of a question there, but I can comment on it. Our arguments happen. We do it. It's inevitable, especially when you spend so much time. Lee and I are together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, literally. He may run to the store for 10 minutes. I may run to the store for 10 minutes. Go do what I do. You know what I mean?
We're fully connected.
We're fully connected, and surrendering. Obviously we don't know what the argument was about, what led to it, but I guess the most spiritual thing I can say is just allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, and instead of telling him, which is it's so hard because I do it every day. I'll tell him what he's doing wrong versus what he's doing right. If we could switch that, that would, you know what I mean? That would help.
Yeah. I don't take it that way. I mean, I at least redirect and go, hey, the way here's the thing that I think we've found that actually works when it comes to connection, when it comes to this surrender and connect. Connection is about feeling. So if you're in your head over a discussion and you guys are communicating and it goes this way, how do you get back in the feeling and meet that person in the feeling again of being connected? Your mind is going to fight that feeling and their mind is fighting that feeling, but it only takes one of you to surrender for you to meet each other back in that connection. So are you making your feelings more important than your thoughts about your feelings when it comes to whatever you're arguing about?
Here's the follow-up. He won't even talk to me on the phone. He said you won't even talk to me in person, so what's the use?
Right. Because he wants you to feel what he's feeling, and he wants to be able to feel what you're feeling. You can't do that through text. You can't do that through a phone. You have to physically be in front of each other and hold each other's hand and then try to have that same argument, and it doesn't work. But if you can be in your head all day, then jump on the phone and then attack that person, you're not going to have to be there for that feeling, but don't worry, it's going to catch up to you. Usually in a day or two, you're suffering. You're suffering because you didn't choose the connection. The connection isn't about what you think. So if you're in your head about something you guys are arguing about, or if there's a trust issue somewhere going through your head, and that trust issue is not matching what you really feel, they can tell that. That's why they want to come and talk to you face to face. They know that whatever it is that you're feeling, you're trying to express what you're feeling from your head. They're going to be able to pick up more from you in the connection in front of you and feel what you're feeling, to understand what it is that your head is doing to your feelings that they're not necessarily doing. That would be connection. If you can't meet face to face, look each other eye to eye, how are you connected to begin with? You know what I mean? Hi.
Hope that helped. This question is from River.
Okay.
How can I get my twin to realize his wounds are tied to him abandoning himself? How can I get my twin to realize my wounds are tied to him abandoning himself? Abandoning himself.
Okay. First of all, it sounds like what you're asking is, how can I tell him that me pulling back is making him abandon himself? Or what I've gone through, my hurts make him abandon himself. Now, What's happening there is when you are hurting with your twin, how are you allowing them to be in what you feel? And how are you telling them to show up? So, like if Sherry's hurting, I want to take away that hurt, and I realized that was abandoning what was hurting. I realized that we would get disconnected because I didn't want her to hurt. I didn't want her to feel what she was feeling. What I was doing was abandoning us both by trying to fix the problem. See, if you're telling your twin they need fixed, they literally will get to walk around and tell themselves that they're no good for you. They're not right for you. Because ultimately that is rejection when you tell somebody they need fixed. You don't need fixed. This connection doesn't need you to fix anything. This connection wants you to accept your feelings and see that your mind is telling you you need fixed, which is keeping you far hurt, far too long, and far too disconnected to realize that you can change that. I want to make sure I'm clear on this. If she's hurting, I wanted to fix it. Wrong thing to do. I never asked her if she wanted me to fix it, number one. Number two, whatever she's feeling, if I'm not just sitting there holding her hand while she feels it, I'm not going to be connected to her. If I'm staying away and standing back, she gets angrier, more frustrated, because I didn't pay attention to what she really needed. This is about connection. Connection requires feeling. So if I'm in my head trying to figure out how to fix whatever she's feeling, I'm at the furthest point away from this connection, aren't I? Wouldn't you be? So if somebody wants to sit in front of you, feel what you're feeling, they're asking for connection. If you don't want to go talk to them, you don't want to be in that energy field with them, then they aren't the runner. If you're in your head about how they created a distance, you are the runner. There's no getting around that. Because you won't show up with your feelings does not make you the chaser. That makes you the runner. So hopefully that is clear.
Hope.
That's not a wig. This is her real hair.
Would somebody think it was a wig?
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of comments on here about my hair.
Yeah.
And
Mine too.
my hair's been blue, since right before I got sick.
Mm.
And yeah, I just like it blue now. It's a part of me,
It's a
I
signature,
guess. It's
yeah.
a thing.
It is.
And thank you for the compliments. I mean, it's my hair. Catherine, I had SCIO done again after the SRT last year's. That repaired a torn uric field, which led to separation. Apparently, our connections frequently had doubled. It was beautiful green color. I'm not sure that I know what that is. Yeah, I'm not sure I know what that is. I wish I.
I have further questions for that.
Yeah, I wish we could.
Because I'm not sure if there was a question in there too.
Yeah, I wish we could comment on that, but
More information is
more
needed.
information definitely is needed. Yeah. And let's see, spiritual union had begun. This is the same person.
Okay.
And the day after I had the report delivered, he got back in touch, but I'm afraid I'm making the same mistake somehow. How can I welcome him and reopen communication? I'm gonna touch on this,
Okay.
and a lot of people might not like it, but I guess it's my own personal view, so please don't get offended. But I personally don't believe in these magical cord cutting ceremonies. I don't know what an SRT is, or a lot of these reports and twin flame reports and twin flame necessarily reading type of things. Um, I think that makes things way more complicated than they really are. This is a simple connection with another person, a very spiritual connection. Um, and I personally don't believe anything could cause a disconnection. Anything could cause um, the whole cord cutting thing. I don't believe in that. Um, and I don't know exactly what those ceremonies or those things or tests or um, any of those things. I don't know how any of those things can sever a connection and then make that. Now, I do believe if you get some type of report that says, oh, this isn't your twin, you're going to read into that as a human being, and your mind's going to take over, and it's going to say, well, this
I'm
person.
going to say this one last time about cord cutting. If they can cut the belief system out of you that you were connected to your mother through an umbilical cord, then good luck with that. Because you're bullshitting yourself if you believe cord cutting does anything other than strengthen a connection.
Yeah,
Period.
Period.
So stop it. If you're
that
really
that's
trying
what
to
she's
change
done.
the human existence, then you're going to be right.
Yeah.
But to know this, if you can believe that you can have a cord cut and it not strengthen a connection because of the connection you have to your mother, get it right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm telling you, if you're listening to that bullshit, there is a feminine energy in your family line that has created a way for you to be disconnected from everything you've ever been connected to. Stop believing it. I'm not trying to be upset. I'm just trying to tell you the truth.
We don't know that that's what she's done.
But it's not a ceremony.
But there's some type of
it's a birth.
There's some type of report that she's got that said something, which, in fact, changed her energy. When it came to her twin felt that, right?
Yes.
And I don't know what happened. But the question is, how can I welcome him in and reopen communication? Forget about the report.
And also retrace your steps. If you had a mother that kept you from a connection with your father, it is affecting how you took this ritual. It is affecting the energy of this ritual. There are so many variables at play here. And I don't play with that anymore. Because what ends up happening, we all are following our belief system. We're not following connection. The choice is simple. You can follow connection or you can follow your belief system. One of them is going to lead you to connection. But I promise you this, if you can believe in all of the things that we've done on this planet, as a religion, as a culture, as a society, as a human being, then know this, you came from connection, the connection found you to return to connection. So what you can do is you can let go of everything you think, all of your education, all of your know-how, and you can have connection, but you need to stop believing the stuff that's going to feed your validating disconnect. I'm going to say that again. Somebody's validating you being disconnected from. Not fair to you in this connection. But I promise you this, it's not a step away as much as it could be a step into. Because the hurt that you're feeling, the pain that you're feeling, is the birth of connection. That's how we all came into this world, and that's how we have this connection. Can you have connection without pain? Period. If you've convinced yourself that you need to not have pain for this connection, you don't want the connection at all. You will stay in your disconnect and you will practice that disconnect and find a group of people that will help you stay that way. And it starts with some kind of cutting. I promise you, it doesn't make sense. But the truth is the only thing you can trust. The truth is how you feel matters. And if your feeling is telling you you can have connection, then maybe you should look into that. Anything else is just them playing with your mind. And if something freed your mind for your twin to show back up, stay in your free mind. In other words, don't listen to what your mind says, pay attention to how you feel. Let your twin come back to your feelings, not your head. If they have to fight your head to be with you, they won't do it. Doesn't work. We tried it. It doesn't work. We have destroyed this connection and then realized that we couldn't destroy something that didn't feel a thing. The connection is about feeling. It is not about the way we're thinking about it.
Okay, she just commented, and then I'll go back up to
Okay.
the next question. But this isn't a belief system either. I'm not focused on the report at all. It just happened to be a part of the events around getting involved. It did confirm some things that I was feeling.
Good. See, she pointed to feeling. Stay in the feeling and let him come back. That's it.
Yeah.
Stay in the feeling. Let him meet you in his feelings. And then, if you guys don't know how to communicate that, be simple. Be simple with, oh, I'm glad you're back. I've been feeling you a lot. Or, you know what? I feel fantastic that you're back. I feel fantastic that, why don't we spend some time together? Let's just stay in the feeling. If I go to my head, I'm going to tell you. Is how you find union when you seek feeling. You find your way away from union when you don't.
True.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope that helped.
Yeah, I hope so. I know it was brutal, but sometimes the truth is just what it is. It's the truth.
Yeah. Okay, how do we know if our TF is real or a catalyst? Okay, I'm gonna start,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna let Lee calm down.
I'm calm. I'm calm.
No, but you know, again, my belief system, but I do not believe in false twins, catalyst twins, those types of things. I do feel we have multiple soulmates. Somebody, and I'm going to tell you the difference. Multiple. I know that I've had a couple, at least. You know, and one of them has passed. And it was much in my much younger years, my teenage years. And then there was another one later in my life, and every now and then I'll still feel them, those people, right? And it could be something as easy as, you know, driving by someplace and a memory come up,
Right.
or something, or a smell, you know what I mean, or something like that. And I remember specifically when I was in that soulmate type of relationship, how I want to use the word consumed,
Right.
right? In that energy. However, we loved the same things. We loved the same music, right? We loved to do the same things. We enjoyed doing the same things. We laughed about the same silly things, right? Something that I think is freaking hilarious that the rest of the world would be like, oh, that's just kind of dumb. He thought was hilarious too, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a very similar energy, right? However, when I met Lee, the energy was heavy, right? Overwhelming, heavy. Like, what is he?
Intense.
Very intense.
Yeah.
Now, Lee and I don't share a whole lot of things in common, right? We don't have the same taste in music. We don't have the same taste in art. We don't have the same taste in in foods even,
No.
and a lot of things.
Culture.
Yeah, a whole lot of things we don't have in common. There are a few things, obviously, and we've obviously been together for a very long time, and we adapt to one another's likes.
We
right?
share.
We share them, and I want, you know, and I mean, he listens to some of the music I listen to now, and I listen to a lot of the music he listens to now, and my love for music, he appreciates. His love for cars, I don't get, but I appreciate it. And it took me actually seeing him in that element to feel that energy.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We'll go to a concert or a show, and I'm zippity doo dah all over the place. I mean, I'm everywhere. I'm talking to this person, talking to that person.
It really is.
I really won't hardly sit down because I'm
Social.
I'm all over the place saying hi to people and doing things, and he's sitting in the chair, right?
Enjoying it.
When the show comes on, I'm still zippity doo dah all the way up to the front, right? Trying to make my way through the crowd, trying to get up there, and Lee's sitting there watching and enjoying the show. Where I'm like, come on up here, come on over with me, and he's just not into it. Well, we went to a car show the other day, and I was sitting in the chair by the car, zippity doo dah all over the place, just everywhere, just all over the place, talking to people, doing things.
What a reflection! I'm like, yeah, welcome.
Yeah, but you know, to know the difference is there's going to be a lot of conflict.
Yeah.
And a lot of struggle, right? It's not easy. Being with a soulmate's easy. Being with a soulmate's very easy. And you can be with a soulmate, you can marry a soulmate, and you can live for 50, 60 years of marriage and have a great marriage, right? We know a lot of folks who have married a soulmate and have been married 50 some years. Your grandparents probably married a soulmate, was married, you know, for many, many years. But I believe when somebody comes into your life and that connection is so strong that you are hearing things that they hear, you are tasting things that they taste, you are smelling things that they smell, and they're not even in the same city.
Right. The senses are your telepathy.
The senses are
Your
going to
thoughts are.
tell you the truth. Yeah, it's not this. It's not the obsession. It's not the obsession of needing that person, of wanting to be with that person, of having to know what that person's doing 24 hours a day.
Amen.
There is a sense of peace when there's a distance. There's a sense of peace when you're not communicating because one person's at work, the other person's doing something. There's not that sense of, oh, I need to call right now. I haven't talked to him in 15, 20 minutes. Right? That's not there. Right. There's a sense of peace knowing that, I'll see him on Saturday. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where in a soulmate relationship, it's a now. I need to see him now. I need to do this. I need to do that. It's much more. We make it way more difficult than it is.
Yeah.
Let me go there. We make it way more difficult than it is because we listen to this more. We listen to this.
Right.
And our head's going to tell us, well, we need to be with that person 24 hours a day. We need to move in. We need to get married. We need to have kids. We need to secure this, right? And it's being a twin flame doesn't secure that.
No.
The connection's already secure. You just build on the connection, not the relationship.
Amen.
Yeah.
So for me, the difference between a twin flame and a catalyst. A twin flame has a vibration and frequency which will be much stronger than the catalyst. The catalyst will help open doors to that frequency and vibration. Sometimes it's more frequency than it is vibration. I believe that you can have soulmate connections that are based in frequency and some soulmates that are based in vibration. But when you have the mixture of both, it's really interesting because now as I look through the aspect of what a twin flame's going to do to you is everything your mother did to you and everything your father did to you times 10. And it's coming at you in a way that you feel so intense you have to run the way you did when you ran away from them. And if you've never ran away from your parents and you can be vulnerable with them, then you're more likely to have this connection and be in the free space or the flow of it. Very rare, but I've seen it. I mean, I've experienced those that have had that, but then you said my twin's the exact opposite. I said, no, those are certain wounds that we need to go into. Right. When we go into those wounds, we'll release that. And as soon as you do release that, the twin comes running in. And I'm like, see, it's the construct of what you think this connection is like, it's not the frequency and the vibration anymore. You get into the static. The static is keeping you from the vibration and frequency that your body and your heart and your soul is in. And that other person is going to walk through walls and walk right up to you and tap on that. And you're going to go, how in the hell did this just happen? Because that vibration and frequency is unmatched.
Right.
How did you break down every wall? How come I'm just spilling all of this shit out to you? When I met you, The only thing I had experienced that I felt really strongly about was I had that soulmate experience that you spoke about. And it's interesting, her soulmate was more a vibration that they matched in. My soulmate was more of a frequency we matched in. But you and I feel like the vibration and frequency is just, it's through a roof and through a chart
Right.
where it's hitting, it can hit different points and it never really ends. It hits different frequencies, different vibrations in a pace that keeps us seeing through the eyes of connection, not seeing through the eyes of what could disconnect us. You'll know your twin when you literally want and need a connection to yourself. That's when you know you have found this particular person. The struggle is, where do you get that information from? How do you how do you connect to yourself to have this connection?
Right.
Is the question that you're looking for, the answers you're looking for will be found in how you have this connection based on the connection you have to yourself first. That vibration and frequency is how you pull the
Right.
connection to you.
Right.
So,
I hope that.
yeah. We'll take the time to answer one more.
Yeah, we got a couple more. I'll follow through and
We
pick
can
and,
always come back
and
do
pick and
these.
choose, and we'll finish. We'll definitely.
Did you miss
finish.
doing this?
Yeah.
She really
we'll
missed doing this,
definitely-
guys.
I miss a lot. I mean, I miss being in session with one-on-ones, right? I miss the. I miss the whole process of being with you when we're helping.
I feel like you are.
And right, and I feel like I am too. It's just, I'm only 9 months out of transplant surgery, so even in our last video, I was yawning, and I'm not even sleepy, right? But there's a certain part that I can't sit for too long. I can't stand for too long. I can't,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
And then, and we're gonna talk about this in our update video. We're gonna shoot an update video for our journey. But there's a lot of emotional and mental things that come along with what I've been through personally, and I'm dealing with some survivor's guilt, and understanding that somebody had to lose their life to save mine and others, right? And the person was very young, so it does a mental thing to you, and it has literally changed my entire life going through that process. So there's a point in me where I'm hearing him in session, and I want to come up and I want to just do this. and
To me or to them?
No, to them.
Oh.
And I want to say, just stop. You're making it way too complicated. You're taking this to a level it doesn't need to be, right? You're going through too much for nothing. And you just, well, I'm just not going to be able to, at this point, with what I'm going through mentally and emotionally, be able to be as compassionate as I need to be. And
I carry all the compassion.
and
currently.
it's not that I'm not compassionate, because I am very much so, because he can come down and tell me about it,
Yeah.
and then I'll be like, oh, well, maybe we need to go this route, or maybe we need to go that route with her or him. And then, it's just, there comes a time when I'm thinking there's so much more detrimental things that are going on other than it, and most of it triggers to where there's a couple things. My twin flames passed, right, and I still feel him. What can I do? You go on with your life. That's what you do. You go on with your life, knowing you're connected to this person. You have to let that person go. The person is gone. They're not there anymore. They can no longer answer your questions. They can no longer be there for you. They're not there, right? So the obsession has to subside, right? And you have to move on with your life. There's a reason for everything. And it also happens when I'm hearing him talk to people who are connected to somebody who's married to somebody else, and we'll get into all that later. But you know, I want to come up and say, you got to stop being a side chick, or you got to stop waiting for this person to leave that other person. And we'll do videos. We've done a lot of them, but we'll do them again. But
And
there's
we're gonna bring the compassion into those,
for
and
sure,
we're gonna bring
for
in
sure.
the connecting part of it,
Yeah.
because all of it's connected. Everything that you're going through, everything that you're going through in this connection is connection. But do you understand how it's connected to you? Do you understand why the connection is doing what it's doing? If you don't have that, and if you're trying to have this connection without that, you're going to keep chasing your tail. You're going to keep searching out and looking for information that's going to keep you chasing your tail. Because the answers to your connection specifically are in you. They're not in us. They're not in anybody else. But you just need somebody who's going to ask you the questions that are going to lead you to the feeling that's going to allow you to have connection. If you don't find that, we're right here. And that space, we're going to keep this going for as long as we can. Did Catherine ask another question?
Yeah, there's a couple. She commented on a couple, and I wanted to trying to be in the present with him, open and honest and considerate, and continuing to focus on the inner connection, but he appears to be just uncomfortable with talking. How can I help?
Well, if he feels uncomfortable, did he look at you and say, I'm uncomfortable talking? Did he, Catherine, the question is, did your twin look at you and say, I'm uncomfortable talking?
Yeah. No, and she was just wondering where the cord cutting came. I was just using the cord cutting as an example of a lot of the.
No, that spiraled me into disconnect that I keep seeing a lot of connection.
Yeah, a lot of people we're seeing are going through these programs, and I've done this and I've done that. Yeah.
That's not. There's steps that you're not taking before you choose to do that, and that's where we're seeing the huge fluctuation of separation. So I wanted to make sure that I addressed it, and I probably was passionate about how I addressed it, but that's okay. But I guess my question, Catherine, is yeah, it's moving around a lot because my foot keeps hitting the light thing. Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, so if it's moving around, it's okay. Did your twin tell you he was uncomfortable with this kind of communication? If he didn't say that, that's the disconnect. The disconnect is you're interpreting his feelings as being uncomfortable, and you're correct that I'm just feeling shifts and I'm nervous. I'm really trying to focus on, yes. If you're focused on your inner connection, how do you allow him to connect to you? And if it's going to be a vulnerable experience. If it's uncomfortable, that means it's vulnerable. That means that you're in the space where love can flourish. If you're uncomfortable in connection, that's where you're falling in love. It's not to be shut down. It's not to find a comfortable space. The more we are uncomfortable with each other, the more we fall in love with each other. If you're in a space where you're comfortable, there is a space there where there's a rejection happening somewhere in you, where you're either suppressing your feelings, hiding your feelings, or telling yourself they don't need to know how you feel. That is false. As long as you can have the truth, you can have connection. But you can't tell yourself that they're uncomfortable, then hold back and think they're the one rejecting you if they never told you I'm uncomfortable and I can't talk about this. If they've never said those words, you just did that to the connection.
Right.
That's pretty accurate, right?
Yeah.
And we still realize that there's a navigation you have to do to get out of that when you're in it. And the other person needs to be made aware when you're doing that. If you can't tell the person you're connected to how you think, then your disconnect is on you, not them.
Right. we'll take one more question and then we'll have to go, and then we'll come back with the rest of the questions.
Or we'll, if you guys want to email us, we'll
Yeah,
be more than happy
email
to.
those
Yeah.
questions, and we'll
Or-
address them in a live too.
There's 30 minutes you can still
Yeah.
sign up for. You can just go to leeandSherryscheduling.as.me. And
As
you
a
can-
matter of fact, what we'll probably do with the rest of these questions is address them in a live on TikTok.
Ooh.
We've just started our TikTok channel, and I haven't been on there much, but
Would you guys like us to answer these questions?
But
Really
I
short
would-
things
yeah.
for TikTok?
yeah. So I don't know the format very well, but I do know that we would like to do some lives and maybe some card pulls or something. But we'll definitely address all of these questions. They won't go unaddressed. But this one's from Anika. Did you have a time of no communication at all? Did you think this won't work out at all? How many?
Who was? Oh, God. Shit, last week.
No, end of live.
No.
We're done. See ya.
Anika, I would tell you, we were the king and queen of disconnect. Not only could we not talk to each other, we could make the other person suffer for not talking to us. We knew how to actually make the other person feel us doing other people. We got good at it. Not only did we get good at it, we went so far in our disconnect that the connection literally tried to stop our own hearts. I mean, literally was stomping it into a mud hole for us to understand that what we were doing wasn't the right direction. and it was, not only was it brutal, it was a very deep awakening because of that silence in between us. You have to remember, I want you to think about this. Did you realize that your silence in this connection makes the connection stronger? Isn't that awesome? Your silence of how you stay silent in this connection strengthens the connection.
Yeah.
So,
So-
if you've suffered and you're wondering why you keep suffering and you're silent in this connection, it's getting stronger.
There has been quite a few times of no communication. The
Oh.
first time, and I encourage you to go watch our journey on YouTube. It's a playlist, and it starts with number 1, and we're already getting ready to film 28, I
28,
believe.
yeah.
And it shows you the progression of our journey. But for the first time after we met, and it was so magical and so spiritual and so intense, there was a 2-year hiatus with no communication at all, and I think that was okay with both of us.
Yeah, and then it was like a 6, 8 month, 7 month. There were
Yeah,
times when
yeah.
there was just silence in
Yeah,
between. So
and-
no,
yeah.
we get that part.
There was a time of separation in 2012 where we both went in different directions and saw other people as well. There were many times, I mean uncountable times, that I believe we both thought, this isn't going to work. There's no way this can possibly work. I mean, we're two different people, and we don't even have the same music interest. I mean, how is this even going to work? And the mind will take those things and turn them into mountains.
Hmm.
And yeah, there was a ton of those times, but you learn to navigate through those times, and you learn to accept and surrender to the connection. The connection's always there. It doesn't matter how pissed off I am at him, and believe me, I can get there. The connection's still there. It doesn't matter. I'm still connected to him, and he's still connected to me.
Yeah.
And I can drive to Hawaii. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not going to distance that connection at all. It's going to feel
Well,
like
the car's gonna sink.
yeah. Well, wait, I can drive to the UK, and I'm still going to be connected to you.
The car's gonna sink in
Right.
the water.
But I want to address this last comment too that I just got on twin passing. Sherry, I have to disagree. Read the passing on of the twin. I know few twins that have transitioned and still have a connection across the veil. It is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And what I
Yes.
meant to say was, or maybe it just came across wrong, was that when we have a twin that's passed, the connection doesn't get severed. It doesn't go away.
No.
The connection's always going to be there.
Mhm.
And that's me moving that camera, I believe.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, we need to put this on a different.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
The connection remains, for sure, right? But that does not mean that we cannot move on with our lives. We don't have to stay stuck in that grief and that disdain that that person is no longer here. The physical person is no longer here. The flesh is no longer here, right? The connection remains. The connection still stays. You can take that connection into another relationship and still be in that connection with that person, and it be beautiful and loving and kind, especially if your new partner is accepting
Mhm.
and unconditionally loving you in that way.
They get 2 times the love, actually.
Yeah, they get double the love
'Cause
because
there's
that
love in that
connection,
connection.
yeah, that connection stays there,
Mhm.
and you bring that energy into that next relationship.
Yeah.
And it's much easier, I believe, to find a significant other once our twin has passed, because you carry that extra, you carry all of that love
Yeah.
into the next relationship, and you're much more kind, and you're much more open, you're much more honest,
Absolutely.
and accepting of that person and their flaws,
Mhm.
right? Because you have your twin in your ear.
Yeah.
You
Remember what
have-
you didn't accept about me? Now here's you go.
Right.
It's
So,
like, why was I accepting
yeah.
this but
So
not
I
there?
wanted to clarify that.
It heals. It heals a lot.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
But we will let you know how we're gonna
TikTok.
TikTok. Oh my gosh, here we go.
We're gonna make it fun too.
And here's a question from somebody who has lost their twin, talking about the guilt. What about the guilt or feelings of cheating? As I said, the flesh is gone. The flesh isn't here. Spirit and connection don't feel those things.
No,
That's not there, right?
they don't judge.
They don't judge at all. The energy is just there. The loving, kind energy. There should never be any guilt or from cheating. There's no cheating.
Yeah.
It's just not there. So that's something that you have to let go of the guilt of moving on and trying to find somebody else. You know, the person's flesh is no longer with us, so we cannot physically be with them, but we're always with them, and they're always with us.
Once you leave the body, you leave the judgment in the body.
Right.
So any judgment that you learn to have through thought does not transfer into spirit, does not transfer into soul, because the soul and the spirit had a shape before then, and it returns back to that shape and doesn't carry the stuff that we carry.
Yeah.
So just know that connection always finds a way.
Treat your significant other as you would have treated your twin.
Treat yourself the way that you would have treated yourself while being with your twin.
And that will
Because
make your relationship with that other person.
You can still experience
A lot
love in the
stronger.
physical. You
Yeah.
can still experience it. You can still experience connection.
Mm-hmm.
There should never be any doubt that you can't have connection.
Right.
That is probably the number one thing that keeps all twin flames from actually experiencing the connection is, do you believe you deserve connection, and do your actions support it?
Right.
The second part is more important than the first part. The actions to support that you deserve connection is how you should show up if you want this connection. I know that's a struggle because most people don't understand what the actions are that represent that you deserve connection. That's
Yeah.
why we're here. That's
Yeah.
our mission.
And
That's what we do.
I just saw a comment, but it faded. And but that connection has shown us that you want. But I'm lost. That you want the best for the other person, and they too want that for us too. Always remember that, you know, your twin that's passed, they wanted the best for you. They still want the best for you. They want you to be happy. They want you to be loved. They want you to feel worthy and to be worthy, and they want you to find and love yourself. And watching you and being with you with somebody else is the beautiful part of that.
Yeah.
it's beautiful to be able to love and honor that person still with another.
Man,
Um,
I think the most beautiful part is you still get to learn who you are when you're being connected to. Because I believe that's where we all struggle the most when it comes to this connection. Is, do you know who you would be if you were being connected to? And you believe the other person has to be in your life or be here in order for you to have that. And we're telling you, you have to have that before they'll be allowed to be here and be with you. So we love you guys.
yeah.
We love that you've taken time with us today. Know that you don't need hope for connection. You just need love for connection. And love would mean that you actually allow yourself to have the truth. The truth is something that you can't have if you don't have truth, you can't have connection. So do you tell yourself the truth? If you struggle to realize what that truth is, we got you. We can show you how you can connect and have this connection by at least finding your truth. That will connect you to yourself, then will allow somebody to connect to you too. Thank you guys again. It is an honor, and it is definitely very connecting for us to come here and talk to you guys and actually know that you guys are still here rooting for us. You don't know how much that means to us both, but we're not going anywhere. We're going to make sure that if we have to sit with each one of you individually to get you connected, we're willing to do that. And we love you.
And if you don't have a TikTok, get it.
Well,
I mean, I don't work for TikTok. I don't know. But we're going to be over there too. Apparently it's the thing. And so, we're old, but we can be on TikTok too.
yeah, and we're going to be traveling next month. We're going to be coming down through
Georgia,
Tennessee,
Florida,
Kentucky,
Florida.
and we're making our way to Florida to do a wedding. Aha! Yeah, you'll see, connection finds a way. So we love you guys, and we'll
Right.
talk to you guys all soon.